Again, Alanzq, you know you love to see him, and so does the Riot production team, because every chance they get, they're going to go ahead and throw him on the stream. I hope we don't get a little bit of a mirror match. Hopefully we get a fun opponent, but these are the top
Ooh.
tables.
Is it who I think it's going to be? Is it really going to be Alan versus Collin?
It looks to be the case. Please don't bait us into this, because this is going to be the epic showdown. Undefeated versus undefeated players. You can't get any better than this to start off today's day two show. I'm excited, Aguito. Let's see what these guys have in store for us.
Oh, it's time to pull out the showstoppers. Let's go, everyone.
Now let's try to break down this matchup. So, you know, on paper, Sett has a good time in terms of defensive capabilities, but one thing Diana has going for her is that notorious Fizz Starcross combo. Because when we're talking about Sett Kingpin, if he's able to stick and he's able to go ahead and reinforce these battlefields, it is truly an impenetrable wall that nothing can break through. But if you just simply bounce them back to hand, then it makes it so much more easier for players like Diana. The only thing I could say for Collin Kaiser, of course, we did see the counterplay potential in the riposte last time. So that is something to keep in mind as well for Alan.
So right now, it's very hard. I do believe they're only playing the one of it in the main deck. Maybe they're playing the other two in the sides, hopefully. Fingers crossed he has a better matchup than the average player will into the fated Starcrossed. Overall, though, there is already one in the hand. We do also have a stacked deck to go through another one. And a Gust, which won't really be too impressive against that giant Sett, but we are bringing down the stunning Vex very early on. But to be fair, early game, both players just setting up the board, and we've got much more to do, much more to go.
Oh yeah, so much more Riftbound left to be played. Gus isn't necessarily the worst, because keep in mind the Sett Kingpin does benefit from additional buff units on these battlefields. So at the minimum, you're able to go ahead and bounce back the Centuria back to hand. That way you kind of bring the Sett's might down as well. So it does work in that way. So let's see. Sett does have some potential, like a Sabotage, just to try to take care of early Moonfalls. That way they don't kind of get steam rolling in that direction. We're also seeing things like Sett or Showstopper, which doesn't make too much sense now. But you do want to go ahead and utilize that before Vex gets on a battlefield, or else it's kind of useless. But I believe he doesn't have too much to do. We do see the irresistible Faithful, which leads to an interesting line. You could do Faithful into a Showstopper to try to kind of move in that Vex Apathetic into the Kingpin. It might be interesting if he goes for that kind of line this early on.
I think it'd be a bit too early to that right now, especially since we can see Alan's hand is very controlling. Collin can't, but I feel like Collin doesn't really want to start using his runes up too early on, especially if there is a lot of back and forwards with those Starcross. Overall, though, it looks like we're going to get the first point to the side of Collin, but it will be much more of a harder fight to sort of force back once we get this game going.
Definitely a C. So Alan still has a single rune at the ready, so has the potential for the last little bit of a Gus play. And okay, did they shuffle the deck or something? I guess the stack deck, just making sure everything was situated. Because why did they hand over the deck to the judge? It felt like.
I think they're just making sure the last two cards are the last two cards. They sort of do that now more often than not, just trying to make sure that everything is a-okay. So I don't know if you noticed that Collin has got his super duper cool challenges notepad out there. I think they said that on the first day they had them, they gave away like 200 of them.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it's one of the better ways to kind of keep track of the game. Some people go ahead and just write it on a simple notepad, but keeping things organized is a very good way of kind of going back to it and kind of following through on your notes and seeing what you can improve on, of course. And I like the way Collin is playing, right? Get in, get out. Don't leave your things too exposed on these battlefields. But you know, Diana's just a tricksy kind of deck that has an easy way of bringing those units from the back line over into these battlefields to just go on one-on-one combat. But I feel like he might be a little too scared for something like a Sett Kingpin. But we're seeing the card on screen that they're probably discussing on the cast. Something like a Kha'Zix coming in at ambush potential is never a bad option, because it's just a single unit, so you will benefit from that +2 might and the 2 XP. Granted, I don't think we're using too much XP in Diana, are we?
Not these days, but That is the card on top of the deck currently, as it was revealed during the vision of Dana's moving to the battlefield. So overall, nothing too spicy, but we could be seeing that Kha'Zix coming up in the following turn.
I'm actually a huge fan of this Kha'Zix card. It helps where you, it's almost like the surprise factor. Whenever we're talking about things like ambush, your opponent can't really always keep things on, they can't always expect it because Diana has a lot of runes to leave up at a lot of times. So it's very similar to how Mastery leaves up runes for Rainguard. You just don't know when it's coming, right? You either have runes for Discipline, On Guard, Punch first. In this situation, you have runes for like Gust, Moonfall, Flash, or Starcross, or of course the Kha'Zix ambush champion that we're discussing here. But it looks like Alan trying to go ahead and prepare for the double battlefield control for the time being. Feels like he has enough combat tricks in hand.
Perfect.
But I'll get there. We're gonna go ahead and see if he does have enough combat tricks in hand. This sabotage is gonna expose everything.
Is he going to Starcross now? He is. Sett goes to hand, but fades away. Flashing everything out. Okay, no, that helps Collin. And so now we just have probably just units in hand, right? 2 Gusts and then 2 Tiebreakers. So there goes the Gust. A early Starcross is probably better for Collin than it would have been for Alan, but at least he's used it up. They are tapped out, which means you can put your smaller units now into both battlefields. So you can go to 3 points this turn. But you won't be staying there. So you do have to be very careful. We do have the surprise Rengar for next turn, maybe. But again, careful with that little cheeky Vex there.
Definitely, after revealing the hand, he identified that Alan doesn't necessarily have too much gas in hand. A Gust and 2 Titaners aren't really too impactful for the time being. I would imagine if he wants to be a little bit more aggressive and go on his traditional hold these battlefield game plan, I think it will be paying dividends because a Titaner, a Gust, as I said, isn't going to be all that impactful. If you go ahead and set up the Sett Kingpin, you're all but certain at least holding one of these battlefields where that Kingpin resides. And I like the position Collin currently has. It all depends on these next couple of cards though, because of course Diana has some availability of drawing some more cards with that Diana Lunari on the base right now. So we'll see. It's not all set in stone. As you said earlier, it's still very early game, just 2 apiece so far in terms of points. But so far, the hand and Collin's side feels a whole lot more advantageous than Alan's.
That's it. We've got gameplay backups. We've got the showstopper to drag something in. We've got Sett just being a big boss body you can put down here. Getting the buff on Fury, though, is fantastic. This makes things a lot harder for Alan if he does draw into that second Starcross or a Fizz. So, yeah, that deflect's not going to be coming cheap.
Yeah, it's going to go online, the ganking as well, so it makes it super easy to go ahead and rendezvous over to the Rockfall path as well. He's almost saying, you know what, I'm inviting you to go ahead and conquer Rockfall path because I want a way of kind of clearing these creatures, because with the only backline interaction being challenged traditionally in Sett decks, you need to kind of just force these units onto these battlefields, so it's the only effective way of kind of taking down Diana's units for the time being. So Alan does take the bait per se. It's not necessarily bait, but you're just trying to put points on the table. The question is, does he want to go ahead and push that Vex in as well? Without any combat tricks, I'm a little bit reluctant to go ahead and push in Vex because it feels a bit vulnerable there.
It does. You're not even going to be trading, to be fair. It's going to be 4 into 5 at the weakest. There's no, as we've seen before, there's no smoke screen, so that way you're not going to be cheating out any damage reduction. You're not a Raven Bloom student, so you're not going to get any pumped by any spells. So putting the Vex in does seem very harsh. Obviously, they did gust the Pit Rookie away.
And here we go, the card we were just talking about, the Kha'Zix Mutating Horror coming down, +2 might, so 6 and 4, 10 total collective might, swinging in at the Fiora with the shield, adding up to 6 defending, just not enough. If you don't have something like a Call to Glory, even at that, you're just going to go up to 9 might, so sufficient enough to take down not only the Fiora, but conquer the Monastery of Harana. Luckily, Sett has an awesome legend ability. You're able to save the day essentially on Fiora. You just pay a single power and just go ahead and recall, similarly how Zhonya's Hourglass works, of course. So you forego the defense, but now all the units are kind of overextended on these battlefields. Can you take advantage of that? You have things like the Rengar Pride Stalker. You have the Punch First we were talking about. You even have that little crazy combo, the Kingpin into Showstopper coming in accelerated. So this can get very interesting. I think this next turn for Collin will be huge.
So right now we're going to go to 7 runes on the side of Collin. We do have the Punch First. I think there is a bag in hand on the side of Alan, so that's a very expensive Punch First, but you can just walk in, take something away, to be fair, so it's not all and nothing overall. They took out the Cossacks with them because they had the Mighty buff, and when they were Mighty, they got the shields. There was 6 into 6, so they've traded essentially, and then it is just the Vex Apathetic to deal with now. Overall, still in a fairly good position for Collin, but he does need to start taking some board presence back. We do, as you said, have the Rengar to throw down. Can't be put on the Rockfeld path because you can't play units here, but it can just jump in if we deal with something else afterwards. Can't do it while the Vex is here because you just get stunned out. So I think it might be a case of, can we pit Rookie, that's what I was thinking, into the Fiora, so he goes back up to Mighty, walk in, punch down that poor little Vex, and then show him what he's got there with the Showstopper maybe.
I like the line, but unfortunately for now, we did see that he hid the Tide Turner, so he has some kind of knowledge, or he should have some kind of indication that it might very well be a Tide Turner, which means that Lunari might be joining in that Monastery Harana battlefield with the Vex, so you have to keep it in mind, at least to deal with, at most, I believe 7 total might. And there's 2 runes at the ready for Alan, right? So that could be a double Stupefy. Of course, only has about 2 cards in hand. Hasn't been able to draw too much this game 1. But does probably keep things in mind. I'm thinking you got to swing in with 2 units here. Maybe that first mate and the Fiora adding up to 8 as themselves, just in case the Lunari does come in. So 8 to 7 makes sense to me. Let's see if it makes sense to Collin as well.
We do know the Punch First is in hand, so worst case scenario. As you did say, though, first, no. So we're thinking, what could be the worst situation here? That would be 7 into currently 4. Look at the Tide Turner. We trade it over, that's 7 into 7.
Or
then
6?
we could just Punch First the Fiora.
It would be 7 if he brings in the Diana, but currently not triggering the ability there from Tide Turner. So just saving the Lunari on the other battlefield, but just 2 runes available. I think this might be a complete board wipe for the side of Collin, which feels to be in a tremendously well-earned position, because now with the Vex gone, the Rengar Price Stalker does come online. I don't think there's anything to take down a 6-mighted kitty cat coming down. Oh, Rockfall Path. Of course, you can't actually ambush on that battlefield.
That is the problem. But we have enough might in the back there to deal with things, and we have a Showstopper to slam someone into the Rockfall Path. So, overall, it's not the worst case scenario. We also do have the challenge in hand now, if you just want to take out that Diana and not have to deal with anything else, but buff a friendly unit in the base, and then move that buff to a battlefield. So, here comes that Mighty Fiora.
Triggering the champion ability, just trying to find some more resources. Finds a pretty good one here in terms of that Stupefy. You do have to pay the deflect cost if you do want to go ahead and target the Fiora, so I don't know how worthwhile that'll be. Picks up the Stupefy nonetheless, but Alan thinking very carefully, as right now you're feeling pretty far behind. Stupefy just to simply draw a card, and I didn't see what he hit off the top, but that is a board clear as we discussed. And look at the board presence from Collin Kaiser. He is running hot in this game number 1.
There you see it as well. Going even on points now, 4 apiece. It's very simply going the way Collin wants to go now. Mathematically correct now. 2 units in hand. Fizz can come back and play out that Star-Crossed if Fizz really wants to. But overall, not the most urgent hand we've seen from Alan in these events. But again, we're not really seeing... just Mr. Bunn. He did recycle the one, don't worry. So yeah, unfortunately, Alan does not really have that urgent of a hand right now. But the Fizz will help clear the backboard. Maybe getting rid of that Fiora if you're willing to pay the cost of the deflect. It's not all she wrote, but it's not looking particularly that good either.
I couldn't agree more. Looking like a dire situation from our two-time regional champion, Alanzq. Looking at the hand, you have the Fizz Starcross potential, the Moonfall potential, but what good is those combat tricks when you virtually have 0 units? And he completely saw the writing on the walls and says, that is enough for me. Game number 1 going in the direction of Collin Kaiser, and not even a smidge of happiness on the face of Collin Kaiser. That is a man that is truly locked in and in it to win it. I almost want to go ahead and bet my money that he's locking in a top 8 position if he manages to get over this Alanzq matchup. For this matchup, but as someone in chat said, or maybe I won't read that one, but Collin is just locked in, loaded, ready to get things going for this game number 2. And there's a smile. You know, you have to be happy getting a game under your belt against someone as awesome as Alanzq. So I would be ecstatic, but it's a little bit like a poker face. You want to, you know, the job is not done. You kind of go ahead and breathe that sigh of relief after the game is over, but we're just in the beginning of day 2, aren't we? So you kind of want to stay locked in for the remaining.
That's it. You gotta lock in. You gotta sort of forget you got feelings for the next 6 hours. Right now, it's just getting past the biggest hurdle, Mr. Alanzq, and then just take it what you can. As we did see on the stat line, already a 3-time champion of the Sett Best of, and obviously this is one of the last events where you can get that here. So it's going to be this week, and then if they're at Hartford, can he go 5 for 5 on those sets?
It definitely looks to be the case, as it looks like Alan just goes ahead and curves out as ideal as you can. Nice little Ravenbloom student and the Lucian Merciless. We didn't get to see him make too much of an impact in that game number 1, but I am a big fan. Very similar. You don't want to leave your units exposed / overextended on these battlefields like the same way you would play against Draven. So I like the fact that you could kind of get in, get out without any additional resources. That way you don't allow Diana to kind of get the free value on these on-battlefield effects like those gusts. Like, I know Moonfall can move you in, but it is on a battlefield, so might as well make it a little bit more complicated for them. But I like the riposte already lurking in the hand, and that's a double riposte at that, which technically counters spells like Moonfall.
Cat spells Moonfall, stops gusts if you really want to just waste it on a gust. It's not really a waste if you're getting points out of it. There's a Rengar in hand already. We do only have 5 body ruins. That's 4 little Vi isn't really doing anything this turn. I'm just going to straight away the gust. Do we just want to do it to get the point early on so we can keep going?
Thinking about it, I feel like it just for a simple gust, I don't want to go ahead and spend it. We are talking about tempo, though. Because you do have that punch first in hand, you're very likely to go ahead and hold. But of course, if Alan has those little combat tricks like we've seen in the past, those eclipses, those moonfalls, it makes those punch first kind of nullified. But saying, you know what, let's go ahead and save these counter capabilities for those more impactful spells like those star crosses and the moonfalls. And I tend to agree with Collin there.
It does feel like a bit of a tempo slip because you're not really going to be doing much currently as the turn progresses out, because the only play you've really got now is to play out the Lucian again. This just put Alan at a 3-0 position, so good for Alan. We did see the Fizz now, so we can always get the Gust going again if we want to do another stack deck. That ever impactful Starcrossed is also in hand because it's glued to that man's hand. Unlike yesterday's game, it was always the Kazakhs in hand and 2 Moonfalls, but this one seems more fair in comparison.
Yeah, much better hand for Alanzq, much better start as he goes ahead and conquers up to 3 points on the Valley of Idols, which is a nice little inclusion. We never saw that battlefield at the hands of a Sett, but it makes sense to me. I believe when you hold this battlefield, you could pay an energy to buff a unit, and that is the whole game plan for Sett. Buff your units so that you go ahead and protect your units with that Sett legend ability. But throwing it back over with a breath of runes, I am trembling in my seat for Collin Kaiser. I know I'm just not going to be able to crack either of these battlefields, but you have to do what you have to do and try your darnest to go ahead and get there. So testing the waters, Lucian goes over to the Valley for now. That is a showdown opening, so ability will be triggering on the chosen champion there. Does he reveal?
Second Stupid Fight, very good for
Very
Alan
good.
over here now. Extra draw power, that's 3 draw cards in hand now. 2 debuffs. Here comes the Vi. I remember, Vi stands for violence.
Right, one of the more impactful cards coming out to Riftbound Unleashed meta, make it a big splash in a lot of LeBlanc builds, but Sett utilizing it perfection as well. Unfortunately, though, doesn't have energy. Actually, he did have energy. The repose coming in at the perfect time. No hard bargain to be found for Alanzq. That would be exactly why he didn't repose the Gust and saving it for the more impactful spells as we were discussing. And this is a big swing here. You take down the Lunari, you slow down the draw engine for Alan.
And that's it. And that's super early on. Now he's got, I think, 3 reveals from this card. It's not the worst situation to be in. It's a pretty good average for reveals and cards to hand. But overall, going to be going to 4 next turn because there's no way for you to gank across here. But you do get to pull it back at that Lucian, ready for the next turn. But it's all down to just Alan just hold on to that hand and use it all for next turn, so it just goes gaining on that Raven Bloom.
Looking not too bad. Goes ahead and utilizes the Valley play as well to gain the additional buff on Vi Peacemaker, making it just that much more complicated to conquer that battlefield. But keep in mind, though, that is just a mini success for the moment because Alan still maintains point tempo as he goes ahead and holds up to 4. I think the points are a little behind on production because I remember him conquering to 3, which means that Raven Bloom was managing to hold up to 4. But just goes so good establish the Vex Cheerless game plan. Now those punch first. If they want to go online, that's 2 energy, 3 power. That's way too much to be spending on any card, honestly.
I'd say right here, right now, you kind of wanted that challenge, right? So you could just challenge with that Vi, punch that poor little Vex or that Raven student in the back there. Rengar would be too bad, obviously, if you're going to try and defend on the following turn, which they might be doing with the Vi. Keep it in there. It's a 6-mod unit. It's not really doing anything otherwise. But I think getting that Lucian in, getting to that 3rd point and bringing it back would be probably the best way to try and keep the point score a little bit more even. But as you can see, they have now updated it. We are 4-2.
Right. So still managing to stay ahead, and that is where Alan would like to be for the remaining of the game, right? But of course, if there's one deck that doesn't have too much of an issue of kind of defending, as we talked about before, is going to be this incredible Sett deck with the we backed up with the Sett Kingpin. Right now, there's not too many buff units, but does pay 5. Thinking about something like that Rengar. Pays a yellow, though. Is this going to be something like an Ash? No, it is the Sett Kingpin. I thought it was 4.
It's because he's paying the 1 for the buff as well.
Oh, gotcha. Already paying 1 for the buff. Makes sense.
It's like, I know what I'm doing here, boys. I'm going to play this Sett here, and he's going to become really big.
Yeah, we could do the math there. Sett Kingpin gets an additional +1 for every buff unit, including himself. So he's up at 6, plus the 2, so up at 8. And then the Vi Peacemaker, bringing that all the way up to 13 total might. That's a little bit too tall for something like a Vex and a Raven Bloom. But we are talking about a Raven Bloom if there's enough spells in hand. But that battlefield is almost all but locked in. But now it makes it a little bit free to go ahead and try to take down Targon's Peak, which is why we're seeing the Vi pull back. I think he feels like he could confidently defend with something like a punch first alone with this Kingpin.
So we do see the Eclipse in hand. We do see the 2 Stupefiers in hand. So it isn't exactly a free game there for the Sett. But again, with the punch first, it does even that out a bit more and makes it a little bit harder for the Raven Bloom and the Vex to sort of do things here. Overall, though, I can see why they've done that with the Vi, because it's when it's attacking you can stun something. So walk back into an area, stun it, and then just take it out. Overall, though, we probably would go to 6 on this side for Alan if Alan's got the right amount of leverage. And then he's going to go to 5 probably on the side of Collin if he also gets the leverage back. But we shall see right now. Are we going to go all in on this Sett?
That is a good question. And, a wonderful pickup for the side of Alan as he goes ahead and top 6 a Singularity. Right now, there's nothing above 6. I believe, actually, Sett Brawler there, Sett Kingpin is currently 5-6 and then 1 for himself. So he is at 7, a little bit out of reach of Singularity, which is so insane. A 4 energy unit holding for 7 when you have a single buff is so truly powerful, which we're seeing why Sett has remained undefeated all of yesterday and posing a pretty good run in this day too as well, because for 4 energy, that's so many stats.
Oh yeah, it's just insane. I think right now, I do agree with what you're saying about the Singularity, so you can just chuck down a Stupefy, give that to the Sett, They go, okay, whatever. You then put down the Singularity. Punch First is not reactionary, so they're going to lose out on that damage, and then all in for the 6 and 6, and that's it. Everyone's gone. It's just a poor Lucian trying to defend the follow-up play.
Yeah, I believe what Alan's taking into consideration here, he almost wants to go ahead and push his Vex Cheerless onto the battlefield first, and then start doing some showdown interaction. That way, everything Collin plays is an additional energy and additional power. So things like Moonfall could make things very complicated for Collin Kaiser. So looking at the Vex Cheerless, and ambitiously takes on the fight head on. At least he's thinking about it, Alguito, saying, Sett Brawler, you are mine any way I want it. So pushes in, moonfalls the battlefield, and saying, that's a cheap little moonfall for me. But everything you play from here on out is going to be fighting for their dear life in terms of power. So that's, I believe, 5, bringing everything down. Gets the non-buff unit there. So Lucian with just 1. And he was at 7, so just going to be defending for 6. So 5 to 6 currently. You're still 1 might behind.
So he does have the bag in hand as well, so if he wants to, he can force all the ruins out of Collin's hand, or ignore the upcoming 2-cost Punch First. Is he going to go for it, though, is the question.
Oh, and there's a bit of a stinger in the hand as well. Even if he does have the Punch First, there's the hard bargain waiting for him. So this looks to be a phenomenal position for Alanzq. The Eclipse comes down, bringing that 7 down to, or I believe it was 6. 6 down to just 2 measly might. This Vex Cheerless is so impactful when it hits. And when it hits, it's hitting hard, as we're seeing here in this showdown. Might be the showdown that wins Alanzq the game, because it looks to be in a really tough spot. You can almost tell by Collin's face currently.
I don't think it's a nothing play right now. I do think we have things to do on the side of Collin. But again, having those 5 runes up on the side of Alan makes it so much harder for Collin to sort of deal with it, especially with those bags.
Definitely, let's see. Taking everything into consideration, thinking, is it a worthwhile investment for something like a Punch First? Do I even get out of the woods with a Punch First? Because right now I'm going down to 2. Punch First brings me back up to 7. That's technically enough, but we know what's in the hand for Alanzq. He has double Stupefy, technically enough to trade, but I almost want to say it's a worthwhile thing to do, because that's just a lot of resource being expended for the side of Alan. I think just Collin's being a bit careful of a second Eclipse, of maybe even another Moonfall, and saying it's just not worthwhile, but the Eclipse does resolve, it looks like.
Because right now he can't do Singularity, so if he can fight the battle through and he doesn't get bagged or he pays the cost for the bag, it would be a case of it goes through, you heal, and then you'd have to worry about anything else really coming through other than this possibly very scary 5 might Ravenloose Student afterwards. But we do get to save it with the buff in the back. Go to 5 on the side of Alanzq, very good, and then going to 6, as I did predict before, with the Raven Bloom. Now, is it?
And man, if Alanzq had just 1 more energy, this was going to be setting up to be a phenomenal play. The Singularity able to interact with both units in the back line, and Sett, what is the Sett Legend name? That way we could call him by the Legend ability. But Sett Legend in general is exhausted, so you're not able to utilize the Legend ability 1 more time, which means he would be able to completely board wipe that back line, but just 1 energy short. Either or, Alan's feeling pretty good right now.
So Sett is the boss. So the boss, unfortunately, they're using his buff to keep himself safe. We are going to go, though, into this Fizz. Everyone's favourite Fizz, right? We all love Fizz. Fizz is the best. And then obviously coming down with the Moonfall makes most sense. Not Moonfall, sorry. I suppose you could use Moonfall. I thought Starcross might be a bit more sensible.
Yo, I think you just want to go ahead and take down the Sett when you can. So instead of putting it back in hand, just Moonfall him in, and down he goes. As we said, Sett the boss has been exhausted, so no saving the day 1 more time. And this looks to be a really great hand. You have the hard bargain available for any kind of interaction on Collin's turn as well. But as long as the Vi Peacemaker stays alive, Collin is not completely out of the running here in this game number 2. You do have the stun, and there's only the double Stupefy, so Vi attacks for 6 stuns, and Stupefy still doesn't do it, but it does back off your Vi. But you still have enough for a Punch First, of course, so I don't think completely out of it just yet. But the point might be telling a different story as Alan goes up to 6 versus Collin Kaiser's 3 currently.
So we do also have access to that Rengar in hand still, and then we can also just punch first the Vi, make it an 11, then we can punch into whichever one you prefer, and then you can just showstopper across the other side, right?
Yeah, you want to be very mindful of going ahead. If you're going to go ahead and invest a punch first on that Vi Peacemaker, you want to go ahead and do it in base so that you don't have to pay the tax for the Vex Cheerleaders, unless, of course, you go for the Raven Bloom itself. And I think that's what he's deciding to do, thinking very carefully about this line. Every play at this insanely high level is impactful, right? Any wrong move, any wrong turn, and it's pretty much lights out. So you want to be very intentional with each and every play you do, which is why we take their time. And in game number 2, looks to be at the tail end of game number 2, right over that 30-minute mark, which kind of has been flying by if you ask me. I think that just goes to show you how awesome of a game it's been so far.
Oh, it's always full on entertainment with these two.
And wait a minute, Alanzq, though. He doesn't invest a punch first before the showdown. This could be costing him just ever so slightly. Gets the Stupefy. Here's the double Stupefy down to 4.
I think he's going to Rengar now, maybe? Because you can't cost more on the Rengar. Rengar's always just going to cost 5 and the 1.
I mean, keep in mind, the Vex is stunned, though. So at the minimum, we just go retreating back. But I like what you're saying, Alanzq. The Rengar Price Stalker coming down at that ambush reaction speed. Just 2 energy to work with. You can't bounce things back with the Starcross. So it's all but certain to get the Conquer. More importantly, you eliminate the Vex Cheerleaders. That really complicates each and every showdown. So I think it's worthwhile to do that. But now the question stands, how do you go ahead and interact with Targon's Peak? Because you almost wanted to save Rengar to do that, but the double Stupefy kind of having to pivot his game plan going forward, and does exactly as you say. Here he comes. Trophy Hunter pounces down onto this battlefield. So you get the Conquer, but at what cost? And wait a second, Moonfall for 2 because it's still in the showdown. Moonfall bringing the Prize Stalker over to the Targon's Peak, -2. Raven Bloom goes up. Unbelievable. I completely forgot the free energy reduction from Cheerleaders. This is impactful, but we do have the answer with a Repose since it is a unit at the battlefield.
So I was hoping, he says, I was hoping that he was going to get a chance to do the showstopper him across. But unfortunately, that's not going to be this time. Going to 7 on the side of Alanzq, it is going to be kind of all or nothing now. We still have that Singularity in hand. And to be fair, you got it? No.
It's over. Singularity forcing to recall back these units back to base. Fizz can just simply go in and conquer for the final point. Well done, Alanzq, tying things up. And here we go for this first round of day 2. We find ourselves in that awesome game number 3 situation. We could not have started the day any bit better, setting the bar quite high.
Yeah, 1 apiece so far going to game 3. It's what you want to see, the first match of the day. All out adrenaline. 3-4 games by 2 very established players.
We'll be right now in this decisive game number 3. It's almost, as we were talking about before, whoever wins this match, I want to say is all but locked into, at the minimum, a top 8 position, because these are the GOATs right now. Or I don't want to go as far as saying GOATs for both players, but these are some of the top players in the game, as we all know. So I think this is the matchup of the tournament currently.
It is. Unfortunately for those who aren't aware, Abandon Hall is probably like the best card in this, best battlefield in this deck, in my opinion, just because it makes any of your 2-drop Raven Bloom students absolutely insane. If you thought Aurelia was good, well, this makes her on steroids.
Yeah, it definitely does. And a lot of utilization for the Sire Diana with things like the Raven Bloom student to kind of double dip the same way the Aurelia Fervents do as well. But with that said, on the other side of the battlefield, or the other side of the board rather, a Grove of the Godwillow, the potential to have a tremendous impact in this game number 3. If Collin gets onto the battlefield first and then defends it for at the minimum 1 to 2, even 3 turns, things just kind of spiral out of control. We're talking about an impressive 3 card draws, 2 every single turn. So 6 cards seen from your deck. You can't get too much better than that because Sett has answers. He just needs to get to those answers in the deck.
Well, he just put back a Rengar and then drew into his second challenge. So hopefully, challenging things early will come through. So we do have, I believe, the Pit Rookie as a 2-drop. There we go. So he drew into his first. Oh, he got 2 Fioras now. Oh, okay.
Not too bad. Fiora making it a doing a good little performance in that gamer one, but at least you do have that 2-drop. So something has a nice little curve out, Pit Rookie into the Kingpin or the Fiora, just to be a little bit more conservative on not letting go of the Kingpin just yet. Because, oh, 4 goes a turn 1 play despite having the turn 1 play. That is a very patient play, a very patient man. A lot of players wouldn't make that play, especially when we're talking about a Grove with the God Willow.
I think right now it's a case of Fiora Mighty is better than Fiora and Pit Rookie. So it makes sense. He needs to basically make it the worst decision for Alan. If you want to look at my cards, you got to start paying those deflect costs. So probably for the best.
I like it. You know, I think he's thinking 1-2 steps ahead, because right now with the Fiora Victorious developed on the board, Pit Rookie plus a challenge is quite a great play that he has in mind. And right now there is a hard bargain, but he might have enough runes exactly to go ahead and pay for the hard bargain as he goes up 6 energy. But forget about it, completely tapping out for the Hui here. I think things are going in a really good position here. At the minimum, you should be able to take care of the Lunari. But then you got problem number 2. And that's the way there. Do you go crazy, punch first the Fiora, and then challenge just to take down that single pesky unit? Do you think it's worthwhile?
I don't hate it. I think it's probably worth getting him off the board as quick as possible. Alan's got no recourse for it, so Hawaii can become a massive threat very quickly in this game. What he wants to do here, so he's going to go for Pit Rookie and the boss. Okay.
Yeah, I tend to agree with what chat said. 3 powers is a little bit too much of an investment to kill a single unit, so goes for a different line, plays out the Kingpin, but Aguito, he's completely exhausted out of runes, which feels a bit exposed, especially with the insane top deck of the Moonfall. Every time Alan needs the answer, seemingly finds it as soon as the almost on cue, because now Hui pushes in, and then a Moonfall could be pretty impactful here. Granted, we do always have a bit of that safety net from the Legend ability, unless you go for something like the Fiora just to get the value of killing a unit.
So currently we're on Abandoned Hall, which means even though it's currently a 5 because he got rid of a spell, every time you play a spell like Moonfall, you're going to increase your might, right? So you can drag in the Fiora for free right now with Moonfall. She doesn't get mighty, she's not deflecting anything, she's not buffed, so she can't be saved by Sett. Gets rid of one of your problems. I would have thought the play would have been to play the Pit Rookie, buff Fiora, move Fiora into God Willow or Abandoned Hall, and then use First Mate to bring her back out, so you get 1 point in, 1 point out.
Okay.
But she also has ganking, so she would have moved to the other side and then just took 2 points to try and lead the head. Okay, alright. Getting some draw power going. This is what we said earlier on. If Alan gets a chance to just draw, that's when you get stuck.
Yeah, Hui might just be just one of the more instrumental cards in these Diana builds. Once it gets rolling, it is so hard to stop that steamroll train from coming down and crashing in and making things so problematic for the remaining of this game, which is why we were discussing, do you go crazy? I know it was expensive, but taking down the Hui is a big priority to do so. But it looks like Collin, I mean, I can never doubt what line he has in mind, because usually they are very well devised and always has some idea of what he's doing for not just right now, but rather for like the future turns, 2 to even 3 turns ahead. That's what kind of separates these high level players. They're not just thinking for the immediate future. They have a game plan. It just doesn't come to fruition for a couple turns.
So it's 3 to 3 right now. You do need to get that punch first kind of going early on, just to keep yourself getting mighty, and then if they want to start deflecting more things at you, you're already mighty enough to be able to do that. Make it harder for Alan to play the game he wants to play. We're just going to trade it out. Okay, then.
Interesting. 3-3. Didn't want to go ahead and invest anything else. Granted, I think the only thing he had was a challenge and a punch first. He didn't want to go ahead and play out the Vi Peacemaker. Probably going to go ahead and play out a secondary Fiora Victorious, but now has some options to consider. Is it time to go ahead for the challenge play we discussed before? If Sett Brawler or Sett Kingpin gets to him battlefield, he goes up to 7 might, as we talked about before. That's perfectly enough to take down the Hui. So trying to go over the God Willow, double conquer play up to 3. Is it time, Alguito? Do you just go ahead and send this challenge, even in the light of something like a hard bargain or a stupefy to bring the challenge down? Actually, it might be a bit risky, right? We can think about something like an eclipse. So challenge might just be effectively working backwards. I see why he's being a bit hesitant on that challenge.
I think if you're going to challenge, I think you do have to double dip and go 3 on 3 just to be able to punch through something and be like, look, I need to make sure that they survive. That works too, keeping the battlefields free. Going 2 on the side of Collin, though, having that nice little residual in the back. And then just 2 on the side of Alan. So Alan should be going to 3 this turn. And I presume a Moonfall is in somebody's wheelhouse very soon.
It looks to be the ideal play. The only caveat being is the Hui stays alive to see another day, which means at the minimum 1 to 2 more cards being drawn on top of the Lunari. So man, if Alan didn't have the answers, he's very likely to go ahead and draw into those answers on this turn alone, which poses a big threat to the potential future game plan Collin has been thinking about all this time long. But I think, to me, he wants to go ahead and make sure he has units to keep that point tempo, keep that advantage, since he does have a bit more advantage in terms of raw might power currently. But things can change at the blink of an eye with any kind of Diana combat tricks, especially when we're talking about the abandoned hall at that.
Yeah, also very reserved of Alan just to sort of keep the flow going, keep those runes up, just in case of a mishap in the near future. But again, it is more urgent to get rid of these cards off the field, it seems like now, just because we're not having much of a to-do anymore.
Yeah, this is going to be a very pivotal turn for both players. If Alanzq is able to defend, he kind of remains with that point tempo, or not remains, but kind of turns the tide to favor the point tempo in his direction. Now, if Collin Kaiser is able to break through this abandoned hall, he can remain with the point tempo as discussed before. So trying to see what he can go ahead and devise on this turn. Thinking about sending 2 units over to the abandoned hall. He has a bit of the backup with the punch first in hand. Has plenty of runes to work with in terms of paying costs for a hard bargain, even repeated. So here we go, Aguito. Currently as it stands, 5 to 6. Make that 7 to 6. You get 1 for the abandoned hall stack deck. You get 1 for the Raven Blue Conservatory. So Raven Blue up to 4 potentially. So things like that just start getting a little bit out of reach, especially because Diana has a bit more tricks up her sleeve versus Sett.
There we go. Stun it out.
Love it.
So there we go. So now it is 11 into 7. We're just going to flash instead. Unfortunately, there's no real counter spells for your opponents in orange and yellow currently, so it's a little bit of a, well, I guess we get the point for it. But we should go to 4, I think. Maybe you could sacrifice that Pit Rookie. It's not really doing too much now other than being a body. So you can always just try and keep it going, try and get yourself ahead. I don't really see much happening on the Abandoned Hall the coming turn. So I think it probably would be good to try and bait out that God Willow, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is his play saying, you don't have enough might to deal with both these battlefields, and at the worst, I'm able to go ahead and save the Kingpin with that legend ability. I think from now, you almost want to go ahead and play something else, but you want to have some rooms to work with on defense, right? So you want to go ahead and save that punch first at the minimum, because he has some good cards, but a punch first is an impressive spell. +5 might, +6 might if we go ahead and deploy on the abandoned hall is nothing to underestimate. But now Alanzq has a bit of a tall task, but I don't think it's an impossible task. I say that, but look at the current battlefield state of Collin Kaiser. It's a little bit scary.
Yeah, that's kind of how you used to see Sett play, right? You just get a little bit of a board presence, then just build a massive wall essentially on both battlefields. Way can go to 8, so it's not as though it's all or nothing. Again, we do have access to the I believe there is one repulse in hand as well as the punch. Sorry, there's multiple punch first in hand, so we can always just go, go, go. So it's really down to Alan. He does have a bag in hands that could kind of ruin the fun.
Mm-hmm. You know, the downside that I feel like is holding Collin Kaiser back is just a simple fact that he doesn't have the counter spell in hand. He doesn't have the repulse that he did in game number 2. Because right now, there's just seemingly way too many combat tricks. We're seeing the smoke screen. We're seeing the Fizz double up potential. We're seeing, I mean, as you mentioned, the hard bargain. If there's not enough runes, you pay for a punch first. Repeated hard bargain completely nullifies the punch first. So just so many things to keep in mind that even though Collin Kaiser has an impressive board state on both of these battlefields, I think currently Alan might have the tools in the toolbox to get over these battlefields. If not this turn, definitely in the long run.
So right now, it is a case of, do I just try and fight on my turn when there's a moonfall, so you can drag something across? Like you said, there's a smoke screen, so something's getting dipped out. So there we go. So get the +2 again on the student. Who we dragging across? I'm presumably going to drag across the pit rookie to make it a little bit simpler.
It does come in at 0 might. Can't go wrong with that. But at the minimum, this is a huge moonfall. We're talking about -2, 4, 6 total might on a single battlefield. So what was defending for 11 total might down to just 5 little might. I mean, still impressive, but going in on double units, I think he's going to be able to go ahead and conquer. Keep in mind, though, guys, we did talk about the punch first in hand. Unfortunately for Collin, he do have the hard bargain in hands we discussed and has plenty runes for the repeated hard bargain cost again. So this is getting rather tricky. One upside I will say, Kingpin looking okay against a Hui. If you save the Sett Brawler and okay, some challenge capabilities able to be deployed out here. Interesting.
Yeah, set and punch the Raven Bloom off, right?
I like the Zaguito. If you waste a hard bargain, because I believe we only saw one hard bargain in the hand for Alan. If you go ahead and kind of bait the hard bargain out here, both of the punch first you have currently in hand will be able to resolve. So this challenge kind of feels bad, but at the same time, I feel like Collin Kaiser expected this in a strange way.
Yeah, I mean, right now, we did see him get rid of the other hard bargain earlier, so that way, this is the only one. I believe Alan only runs the 2. So yeah, if you've used your hard bargain in my challenge, which could have been the trap in the first place, you now have access to all of your punch first in hand, which is at least 2 of them.
Yeah, and punch first is simply enough to go ahead and get the benefit of this battlefield there. So up at 5, does go up to 6, back up to 11. So pretty much mitigating the exact downfall of that moonfall, or the exact decrease from that moonfall. But okay, hard bargain does resolve, so a little bit of a tick up on that Raven Blue student. Still, punch first is simply enough. You know, Collin Kaiser thinking about what other things are lurking in the hand for Alan. We do see Smoke Screen and that Stupefy at the minimum. But here we go. You have to defend where you can, right? You have to go ahead and spend the punch first, and it will resolve. But the question is it enough for this win, showdown win?
Make it 6. Say yeah, make it 6. I mean, +4, right? Because you want to get the bonus, because that's for everyone when you're battling.
And it looks like someone in chat's a little bit behind. I was saying repeat hard bargain if the punch first went first, because Collin Kaiser had 4 runes. Punch first will leave him with 3 runes, so he would have to repeat the hard bargain to counter the punch first. But now that he played challenge, of course, the repeat cost unnecessary to do so. But put the punch first on the Vibe Peacemaker. What is the math here? Up to 11, as we discussed before, versus the 9. You do have the Eclipse, or actually it was the Smoke Screen, right? So you could go ahead and bring that Vibe Peacemaker all the way back down. You don't even have to do so. You could offer up the trade, because it will be -1 down to 10, +2 up to 11. So effectively just with a single card turning the tide of that showdown. And this is a heck of a showdown. Might be the deciding game showdown here.
It's basically all or nothing now. You got to put all your eggs in that basket. You got to start throwing fists as much as you can. Look at those giant mechanical fists. It is. Oh, I don't like that.
Oh yeah, Alan just drawing everything he needs. Now that the Star Cross is there, that Grove of the Godwillow looking ever so juicy. Once you're able to go ahead and deal with this Abandoned Hall battlefield, not only do you clear the entire board of that battlefield, but you're also able to go ahead and get the way to conquer Grove of the Godwillow, and that is just going to be truly disastrous. What a turn for Alan. We were discussing, does he have the tools to get over both of these battlefields on this turn? I wasn't so certain, but the more this turn goes on, I'm feeling like he definitely does.
I think you got to give that to one of the first mates now, just so it's going to be a 7, just so it can at least take something with it on the way out, because something's going with that Starcross in a second. Oh no. Oh no. It's going.
It's going. Back of the punch first goes. So 16 total might, but keep in mind the smoke screen, you go up to 12 yourself. Abandoned Hall, you actually go up to 13, and then you go down to 12 for the side of Collin. Not a bit of a good situation. Just a single card. Once again, this battlefield making the difference in the favor of Alanzq. This is why a lot of people do consider Abandoned Hall to be such a crucial card, especially for these spell-heavy decks like, of course, Aurelia, but more importantly here in this matchup, Diana, because every card reads +1 might, right? It's such a difference maker, especially when it's such a crucial point in the game, because if this goes in the way of Alan, I think it's unfortunately GG for Collin.
Right now, I think it puts you at a disadvantage. I'm going to say that. I don't think you're out of the running fully, because you're going to go to 5 points next turn, or you can trade with the Holotron. I think Sett would be 7. That's 9. Hwei can only really go to 8, so you still hold the battlefield if they put the Hwei in. So it's not nothing, but it's not looking good.
You know, of course, Alan always has a great play. I can never doubt him, but I feel like the Starcross on the unit that the Sett, the boss, is able to save from his legend ability might have been a little bit better, but of course, what do I know? He definitely has a game plan in mind, because you could have smoke screened that battlefield. We did the math. It was just 1 might over to guarantee the showdown now that Collin Kaiser's completely tapped out, and then Starcross over on this battlefield, but working it a little bit of the other way around. Smokescreen, and Sett Brawler does trigger the ability, and now just 2 little runes to work with. The rune economy has been dismantled, but Sett is generally no stranger to low runes, so I don't know if he's completely out of it, because the one thing going for him is, for the first time in this series, Diana is tapped out.
It taps out. You've got that big Sett right there. I believe that was just a pit rookie drawn, so that's now going to be a 7. So I thought it was a pit rookie, but no, we're going to trade. Okay.
Interesting. It looks like he doesn't have the pit rookie, but actually, I think I saw it. He might have fanned his card. A pit rookie would have been pretty good there, but man, having to make some tough decisions, sacking your more
Moonfall in hand.
Essential units for his essential units, so I can't blame him. More importantly, you're denying him some card draw from the Grove of the Godwillow, but Fizz doing the nasty things he does, bringing back one of the spells from the battlefield, so star-crossing the Fiora back to hand, effectively slowing down every single bit of tempo Sett Brawler had, and now it is looking very favor of Alan for the time being. That's a hold. Oof. Vex apathetic, guaranteeing that you can't come in with any kind of first mate / showstopper shenanigans. Is that the little bit of a final nail in the coffin, Alquito?
I don't think it's all or nothing. We do get to have the flex now online with the Fiora, so if you do want to target it with Moonfall or any reduction spell, you are having to pay the deflect cost on that first one. It's going to be hard, but we did see that the third punch first is in hand, so if we do get to sort of make it through this game, well, sorry, this last round really, which kind of sets it all up for Collin or Alan to go through as the 9-0 winner. It kind of isn't all or nothing though. There is a Kha'Zix in hand, so keeping those 4 runes would be pretty good. I think there's at least a stupefying hand as well as the stacked deck, so we can dig a little bit deeper if we have to.
Yeah, it almost feels to me you don't necessarily have to do too much more, and that he doesn't. Just goes and spend 2 energy on the Raven Blue student that we saw how good that is on that abandoned hull, of course, getting that additional +1 might on top of the one you get for the battlefield. And a bit of a dead card there. Showstopper, generally a fantastic pickup, but now with the Vex Apathetic on the battlefield, not going to be able to get too much use, as well as the Vi Peacemaker. Vi Apathetic, for time and time again, has shown why it is the most played card here in Utrecht. Sends it in the direction anyways. Wait a minute, I hope Collin remembers that Vex stuns any kind of ambush, because I don't think he had any counterplay. And what counterplay, I mean combat tricks in hand, unless that was that final punch first.
If it's a final punch first in hand, super fight to deflect. We are playing the deflect cost, okay? Go down to 4.
You know what this could be about? Not simply getting the conquer, but you want to go ahead and eliminate the Vex at the minimum. Nothing has tank in there, so at the worst, you're able to go ahead and save your Fior with the Sett Legend ability, and then, but actually, you want to go ahead and deny him the hold, because Alan is at 7. You have to do what you can to go ahead and take these battlefields over and get them back under your control. So Punch first invested, an extraordinary punch 6, or +6, I should say. Is that enough? Because we know what is in the hand. There's a Kha'Zix remaining, and that's a 6 increase of might on that battlefield alone.
So yeah, unfortunately, that's a pretty big mama right now. She's standing there proudly at 11 with that shield, with the deflect and the ganking. Give them -1, so you're back to 10. Good. I say, I don't think it was +6 in terms of the overall might disadvantages. I'm trying to think, if Vi comes in, does she stun first and then get stunned herself from the apathetic? I'm just trying to think, like, what is the worst play here? We do know there's a Kha'Zix in hand if they want to throw it down. Stack deck if you really want to just pump again.
You got to go ahead and keep in mind that you are at 7. So if you can't defend this battlefield, you could invest all your resources defending Grove of the Godwillow, but make it a little bit harder for Collin, saying, you know what? I'm not going to let you have any of these battlefields for free. So does go ahead and deploy out the Kha'Zix mutating horror to make it just that much more complicated. That was it. No more combat tricks. A showstopper, a Vi Peacemaker, last remaining cards for Sett. One of them coming in stun something of their own, as you pointed out, but the other one, nothing to do in this showdown. I think Alanzq all but locked it in, because there's nothing left to defend, or I should say to push into the Grove of the Godwillow. That's a hold up to 7 alone, and I think there's even a nice little cheeky stack deck to pick up something like a Stupefy to use that last little remaining energy. And he's going for it, just adding some additional might increases from Abandoned Hull and for these Raven Blue students, and looks for the final spell able to utilize on this turn. This is the game deciding turn, and unfortunately or fortunately, depending on who you're rooting for, it looks to be in the favor of Alan. Looks to be remaining undefeated to start the day off the best you can. Talk about an incredible matchup, 9-0 in a regional run.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Because Alan's also kind of low on cards, right? And Alan's down to 1 ruin. So really the only thing you can do now is Stupefy. You go and kill the Vex and the Raven Blue.
Yeah.
You then move in. No, give it to the Kha'Zix, that's the issue. Let's say, so what you do is you put that in there, you kill the Vex, so that way you can bring something in. Your brackets readied. Or accelerated. Kill the student, that way they're off the board. You then push in the Pit Rookie. And then you play the Vi.
Okay.
If they survive that fight, you can then showstopper into the other area.
I see what you're getting at, right? So Vi Peacemaker trying to go ahead and eliminate the Abandoned Hull, and then you have that showstopper left with the floated energy remaining to do the remaining of the heavy lifting here. Is there a line? Is there a world where Collin gets that perfect sequencing? Because I see exactly what you mean. Now that the Vex Apathetic, the door is wide open for getting these units onto these battlefields with things like showstopper. And keep in mind, all the might increases that they invested in terms of the punch first sticks around just like they would from Zhonya's Hourglass. So that Fiora is very up there in terms of the might department, up to 11 currently.
with a friendly unit that move it in.
You know, Agito, one thing we haven't taken into consideration is the hidden card. Might be something as simple as a tide turner, so not the most impactful play here, but that is it. Alan is out of any kind of interaction for the remaining of these showdowns. A singularity, a traveling merchant, and a fizz, and a single energy. If Collin can go ahead and put the pieces together, I think he might have found his only out. Tide turner bringing in Ravenbloom because Kazi's got an additional +2, so up at 9. And ouch, now he trades 1-for-1. Vipeasmer coming in, and wait a minute, is there a world? I mean, he cleared the immediate threat, but now we do know Fizz is right around the corner, but he can kind of hold on for another turn. Is that what he needs? Is that the little bit of breathing room he needed? And oh man, singularity, of course. That might have been the final straw that broke the camel's back, because that's just way too much pressure / tempo loss for Collin.
We got a hidden blade in hand. It's not the worst situation to be in, but you kind of need a unit. That was giving it to him. You got to ride the wind. Nope, drew a ride the wind off the top. That was it, everyone.
GG, an incredible way to start off day 2 of the Utrecht Regional Qualifier. Undefeated, both of these players, but only one walking away saying they are still 9-0, and that is our 2-time regional champion, Alanzq. And oh, wait a minute. I always get caught up. I want to go ahead and discuss and break down the matchup, but they throw us right into a backup feature match. Agito, let's go ahead and join these players. We have another Challenger TCG member, 7-1 with his Volibear Aurora strategy versus one of Gonker's teammates with a Draven that's also 7-1. This is going to be a fun one.
I wasn't expecting to see any Dravens, but Draven's here again. I mean, he didn't really get worse during the set changeover. Obviously, he's worse off since the bannings, but overall, it's still a very strong deck. Sabotage that hand away. Let's have a look what you got. We have Rebuke or Starcross. Choose your poison, sir.
I'm looking more so at that reaction speed, because if you have things like that Elder Dragon lurking in the deck, and we see it lurking in the hand currently, Starcross is one of the most efficient ways, if not the only way, of kind of dealing with that kind of ability that comes down. So Starcross recycled to the bottom of the deck, but looking at the current board state, Volibear might be making a bit of an impact here in day number 2, as he looks very likely continuing on this winning streak of 8-1, and he's doing it with a deck that's a little bit untraditional compared to a lot of the meta favorites like Diana, Aurelia, Master Yi. Volibear, are people sleeping on this legend?
Well, by the looks of it, he's playing the Aurora version, but also with big bad things in hand, and he's just about to go throw that Elder Dragon away to get rid of that Draven, I believe.
You know, I backtrack, Agito. I didn't realize that Battlefield was under Draven's control, and that Draven would actually find himself at 7 points. But, you know, if there's one too many units on this battlefield, you do have the Elder Dragon go ahead and take that down. And then you have an abundance of units in the back line. Actually, they're on the paper tree, so it's a little bit confusing, because some people put their units at this small table. You can't tell sometimes if it's at the base of the battlefield, but they're at the battlefield because they're not being pushed into Targon's Peak, which means to me, we're going into game 3, it looks like, unless there's some more challenges in hand to deal with 2 more units in hand.
There's another challenge in hand. There's Fallen Star in hand as well.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff to deal with this here. If you really wanted to, you could just Fallen Star, get rid of the Hopeful, challenge the Overzealous, and then, yeah, just take it away. I'd say I do like this version of Volibear. I've not been seeing people playing the Rengar Forerunner version, but it makes sense because obviously every time you play a mighty unit, you ramp. He's cooking.
Yeah, what was an impressively big battlefield, bringing it down to 0 units, completely decimated it, and now it looks like the long trek back into this winning position is underway. The Gem Dragon coming down, untapping 2. It is the end of the turn, so not going to make too use of that just now, but you do have some rooms to work with on defensive cores. And now the game plan stands. Can you hold on to these battlefields for the remaining of the time? We have no idea what's in the hand for Draven, but I will say, I don't think there's enough to deal with a Kadrigan, a Ferris, Forerunner, a Gem Dragon, and double Pride Stalker. That's just too many tall units.
Going fast. We do know there is the Rebuke in hand as well, so that could be coming out in a second, just to try and remove something from the field. They've said it's gone to 8 points, but obviously for us over here, it's actually just a draw.
Yeah, it's just a draw. They're getting a little ahead of themselves.
So that's off the top as well, so doing pretty well here. And then we're going to hide a card. So this could probably be a switcheroo. I think, what did we see in the hand before? We saw the Rek'Sai, we saw the Rebuke, we saw the Starcross, and there was another card as well. So is this just a drawn into a additional card on the turn? Is it a switcheroo? Is it an Edge of Night?
Switcheroo would probably be the more ideal play here because these guys are a little bit too out of reach, so you have to rely on something like that. Now, you do channel the extra room for the paper trace, so having enough runes to work with for this turn, we do see double Kadrigan to go ahead and draw an impressive amount of cards, but that is not what he's trying to do right now. He's going to go ahead and try to guarantee that you conquer this battlefield. As you mentioned, has to be very careful of the Rebuke. He already knows that's in hand. So he has to take that into consideration. One potentially unknown card, unless it is the card you discussed before, but risking it all. He's saying, let's go ahead and see what's behind that hidden zone, and let's see, can I go ahead and get the straightforward conquer? Because if I deal with this battlefield and manage to keep at least one of these units here, I should be able to hold on. But Price Stalker is just 6 might. You currently have 7 as it stands. You have to invest something like another Trophy Hunter coming down, and this is huge.
So I'm just wondering, what was the hidden card then? Because I feel like it's just even a trade. If it is a switcheroo, so you just go 4 into 6, and then it's just 6 and 4 into 6 and 4, or 6 and 3 rather.